Genghis Khan is a name that resonates with power, conquest, and the creation of one of the largest empires in history. But behind this powerful man stood a remarkable and often overlooked force: his daughters. Each one was instrumental in shaping the empire, not only as royal princesses but as key rulers and commanders in their own right. From the windswept steppes of Mongolia to the vast cities of Central Asia, Genghis Khan entrusted his daughters with immense responsibilities. They weren't simply symbols of diplomacy or pawns in strategic marriages. They were the lifeblood of the empire's survival and expansion. One of Genghis Khan's most brilliant strategies was his use of what we now call daughter diplomacy. As the Mongol Empire grew, Genghis understood that military might alone could not sustain such vast and diverse territories. To strengthen his empire, he needed alliances. But he also needed to ensure these alliances were deeply loyal to him. This is where his daughters came into play. Genghis Khan would marry off his daughters to the rulers of allied or newly conquered kingdoms. But unlike traditional royal marriages, these were not simple exchanges of power or wealth. No, Genghis Khan ensured that his daughters became the primary queens of these kingdoms. He demanded that the kings dismiss all their other wives, elevating his daughters above any other contender for influence. But the brilliance didn't end there. Through these marriages, Genghis Khan was able to implant Mongol control into the heart of foreign kingdoms. His daughters, well-trained in politics and governance, would often take over the day-to-day ruling of these lands while their new husbands were busy with other affairs. This way, Genghis ensured that these kingdoms stayed firmly under his influence, their resources and armies ready to be called upon whenever needed. Of course, Genghis Khan's strategy didn't stop at marriage. After securing these alliances through his daughters, Genghis had another cunning move up his sleeve. He would then send his new sons-in-law, often the kings of these allied lands, straight into the front lines of his military campaigns. These men were not spared from the dangers of war. Instead, they were honored by being placed at the forefront of battle. This was a calculated maneuver. By positioning his new sons-in-law in the most dangerous and intense parts of the Mongol military efforts, Genghis Khan ensured two things. First, he demonstrated his trust in their loyalty by giving them high military responsibility. But second, and perhaps more crucially, this often led to their untimely deaths. In battle after battle, these kings, now Genghis Khan's sons-in-law, would fall, leaving their kingdoms without a ruler. And when they did, it was Genghis Khan's daughters who would inherit those thrones. With their husbands gone, the daughters became the sole rulers of these lands, continuing to govern them in line with Mongol interests. This way, Genghis Khan was able to maintain control over these regions through his daughters, who acted as both political leaders and military commanders. With their husbands gone, Genghis Khan's daughters weren't just passive widows. They were powerful rulers. In many cases, these daughters took full control of their husbands' kingdoms, managing everything from military strategy to economic policy. They oversaw the administration of vast territories, issued decrees, and ensured that the Mongol Empire's influence remained strong in these regions. It's important to note that these daughters didn't just act as placeholders for Mongol power. They were effective and independent rulers, highly skilled in governance and diplomacy. Educated in the ways of Mongol leadership, they often dealt with foreign ministers and officials from diverse regions, navigating the complexities of different cultures and political systems. In doing so, they helped to maintain stability across the empire and ensured that the Mongol influence continued to expand even in their father's absence. These women were not isolated rulers either. They maintained regular communication with Genghis Khan, providing updates on their territories and coordinating strategies for the empire's defense and expansion. Their loyalty to their father and their effectiveness as leaders were key factors in Genghis Khan's long-term strategy. While Genghis Khan continued his relentless expansion across Asia and Europe, his daughters were responsible for protecting the Mongol homeland. Stationed at key borders, they commanded armies and fortified defenses, creating a protective shield around the core of the Mongol Empire. Their leadership ensured that the heartland remained secure, while their father and brothers pursued new conquests. Each daughter was responsible for guarding a specific region, whether it was a mountain pass, a desert outpost, or a river crossing. These were not just symbolic positions. The daughters took active roles in military strategy, overseeing the movement of troops, organizing defenses, and even leading armies into battle when necessary. Their presence at the borders of the empire allowed Genghis Khan to focus his efforts on conquest, knowing that his homeland was in safe hands. One of the most well-known daughters of Genghis Khan was Alakai Beki, who was married off to the ruler of the Ontold tribe, a powerful Mongol ally. But after her husband's death, Alakai Beki didn't simply fade into the background. Instead, she took control of the Ontold tribe, commanding their loyalty and ensuring that they remained a crucial part of the Mongol Empire's power structure. Across the Mongol Empire, Genghis Khan's daughters acted as more than just political rulers. They were military leaders, diplomats, and strategists. Each daughter governed her kingdom with a blend of traditional Mongol leadership and the cultural practices of the regions they ruled. These women weren't just figureheads. They were active participants in the daily governance and defense of their territories. In times of war, these daughters led their armies into battle. In times of peace, they managed the administration of vast regions, issuing decrees, negotiating with foreign diplomats, and overseeing the economic and political affairs of their kingdoms. Their reigns were marked by stability and loyalty to the Mongol cause. Genghis Khan saw the potential in his daughters and entrusted them with key roles in his empire. They weren't just extensions of his rule, they were critical to his long-term strategy. Through his daughters, Genghis Khan was able to maintain control over vast territories, secure alliances, and protect the Mongol homeland. While history often remembers Genghis Khan for his conquests, the true secret to his success lies with his daughters. These women were the unsung heroes of the Mongol Empire, quietly managing vast territories, leading armies, and securing the loyalty of foreign lands. Their leadership ensured that Genghis Khan's empire didn't just grow, it thrived. Genghis Khan's daughters were more than just queens. They were warriors, diplomats, and rulers. Their influence shaped the Mongol Empire, and their legacy is an integral part of Genghis Khan's enduring power.